There is a specific moment where the body finally stops. It happens on the edge of a mattress, in a parked car with the engine off, or on a park bench. The location is irrelevant. The internal physics are what matter. This isn't the feeling of needing sleep. It is the sensation of a structural beam within the soul finally giving way. It is a quiet collapse. If you have ever carried too much for too long, you know that true breaking points are rarely loud. There is no cinematic crash. Instead, it is a soft, silent folding, a resignation where the spirit whispers, I cannot hold the sky up anymore. Those who have weathered extreme emotional climates recognize this silence immediately. But to the outside world, this state is often invisible. In fact, it is frequently mistaken for strength. Observers might ask, how do you stay so calm in a crisis? They look at you and see peace. But you know that what they are seeing is not peace. It is capacity overload. It is a high-functioning numbness that sets in when the nervous system has processed so much data, so much pain, and so much uncertainty that it simply unplugs the receiver. It is the stillness of a runner who has sprinted past the finish line and keeps running because their body has forgotten how to stop. Resilience, for those who have been forced to be strong, is not a badge of honor. It is a reflex. It is a survival strategy, born from a lack of options. Consequently, this creates a psychological gravity that others can sense but rarely name. There is a weight to your presence, a deliberate slowness in how you speak, and a heaviness in how you listen. You have learned to compartmentalize your internal storms so that you can walk through the world without getting others wet. There is a paradox here. The people who have endured the most chaos often appear the most put together. They seem wise, grounded, and mature. But if you could peel back the layers of that maturity, you would find that it wasn't developed through gentle growth. It was extracted through pressure. It was not chosen. It was required for survival. Psychologically, this is often the result of the nervous system adapting to a lack of safety. When a person, especially a young one, is subjected to chronic stress or emotional neglect, the brain rewires itself. It abandons the luxury of being carefree and adopts the necessity of being prepared. This is where the overthinking comes from. It isn't a flaw, it is a defense mechanism. Your mind learned that the unknown was dangerous, so it built a surveillance system you never asked for. You become fluent in an invisible language. You know how to read the tension in a room before a word is spoken. You can detect a shift in someone's mood by the sound of their footsteps or the set of their jaw. You learn to de-escalate conflicts you didn't start and to soothe adults when you were still a child. These are not personality quirks. They are survival traits. They are autopilot scripts written into your code to keep you safe in volatile environments. This creates a person who is incredibly tender yet secretly exhausted. There is a gentleness in you that comes from visceral knowledge of what pain feels like. You don't sympathize. You empathize through immersion. Because you know how it feels to be unheard, you become the world's best listener. Because you know the chill of isolation, you become a source of warmth. You are the person everyone calls when they are falling apart, precisely because you are the expert in rebuilding from ruins. But this role comes with a heavy cost. You become the caretaker who requires no care, the fix-it person who is secretly broken. You give clarity to others while living in a fog of your own unanswered questions. This dynamic often bleeds into your relationships. Independence becomes your primary shield. You learn to self-soothe, self-regulate, and self-rescue because history taught you that relying on others is a gamble with poor odds. To the outsider, You look confident and capable. Internally, you're simply afraid that if you hand the weight to someone else, they will drop it, or worse, use it against you. This shapes a unique style of love, fierce, loyal, but perpetually guarded. You don't fear intimacy because you don't want it. You fear it because vulnerability has historically been punished. You expect the rug to be pulled out. Even when things are going well, especially when things are going well, you find yourself waiting for the disaster. You scan for inconsistency. You apologize for taking up space. You assume that your needs are burdens. However, there is a profound beauty in this psychology that should not be overlooked. The narrative of the damaged survivor is incomplete. The truth is, people who have gone through too much possess an emotional depth that is rare and necessary. They are the ones who appreciate the quiet moments that others rush through. They value sincerity over spectacle. They love with a terrifying depth because they know how fragile connection truly is. They possess a wisdom that cannot be taught in schools. The wisdom of having navigated the dark without a map and finding a way to generate their own light. Underneath the armor, the hyper-vigilance, and the exhaustion, there is usually a quiet grief. It is a grief for the version of yourself that didn't have to be this strong, a mourning for the softness that was stolen. But alongside that, grief lives an incredible power. You are not broken, you're highly adapted. Your anxiety is intelligence that worked over time. Your sensitivity is a finely tuned instrument. You have turned your trauma into insight and your suffering into compassion. Eventually, a shift occurs. It is not sudden, but gradual. You begin to realize that the survival skills that kept you alive are no longer needed to keep you safe. You realize that you can put the weapon down. You can stop scanning for threats. You begin to understand that you have become a lighthouse, not because you never touched the darkness, but because you know exactly how to navigate it. If you recognize yourself in this profile, understand this. Everything you are is a testament to your ability to evolve. You didn't just survive the storm, you learned how to breathe underwater, and now the next chapter isn't about surviving. It is about learning that it is safe to finally exhale. It is about building a life where your strength is a choice, not a reaction. You have carried the weight of the world long enough. It is time to see what happens when you finally let yourself rest.